This is a direct message to Anita Sarkeesian. Anita, you've now reaped what you've sown. You've created a victim of harassment and abuse out of your own self-ordained position of victimhood. And you've done this because over the years you've come to believe that the, quote, harassment you've encountered from this man and his allies has ingratiated you with the ability to attack, harass, and abuse the very people you've claimed are the perpetrators. Anita, victimhood is not a guard. It's not a shield. It's not a suit of armor. It doesn't give you the right to fashion and brandish it into a cudgel you can use to beat your enemies. What you've done to Carl is the quintessential example of the pot calling the kettle black. Now, for those of you watching, Carl Benjamin is the YouTube personality known as Sargon of Akkad, and I started watching his channel about 2 years ago because his British accent and his strong grasp of the language were very captivating, and I really loved his criticisms of social issues. They really resonated with me. I love the fact that he really researched his topics and criticized himself when he found that he made scathing errors. But what I really came to appreciate about Carl over the past 2 years was how inglorious he was in his content creation. He was not only strident about his positions, but conversely, his channel matured into one of pure criticism, into one of tolerance, discourse, a mutual affinity for justice, but most importantly, empathy. He's consistently preached anti-harassment and tolerance and never played the victim until now. To give you some context, Sargon came into the online community during the Gamergate scandal, of which he identified as a gamer. Now, Gamergate was a scandal in the gaming community where gaming creator Zoe Quinn had an affair with a gaming journalist in what appeared to be a method to leverage her content into a bigger audience. Now, this wasn't the beginning, but rather the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, the straw that really broke the camel's back. Now, I'm not well educated in the history of gaming journalism, but there was allegedly an historic trend of corrupt journalists in the gaming industry, which prompted none other than Milo Yiannopoulos to call on a consumer ethics advocacy movement in the tech industry while he was a junior tech editor with Breitbart. Now, in addition to criticism for what appeared to be unethical and corrupt bargaining, Zoe Quinn also began receiving a great deal of online harassment, even some threats of violence. The Gamergate community rejected this harassment, calling for an end to it, but it was enough for Zoe Quinn to build a platform for anti-cyberbullying. Enter Anita Sarkeesian. Sarkeesian, being a feminist and, as you'll see, financial opportunist, used this as an opportunity to spread her feminist rhetoric. Befriending Zoe Quinn appeared to be the gaming equivalent of high-profile mistresses and celebrity victims of sexual abuse retaining Gloria Allred as their legal counsel. And it would have been fine because Anita is a lifetime feminist and Zoe was spinning this as a harassment and abuse because she was female. But then Anita began purporting herself as a gamer. A news channel did a piece on her in her defense of Zoe where Anita was talking about how she loved gaming.
How do you feel about video games?
I still love them. I think games are really where we're going.
Video games are so interesting and engaging and interactive. I'm a gamer and I enjoy games. I love games. I'm a fan of games.
But if you look at an older clip from years earlier, there was just one little problem with this statement.
I'm going to show you a remix that I just finished this weekend and no one else has seen. One person has seen it. It's a soundtrack of one song, except I'm doing video games. So it's not exactly a fandom. I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this.
Now, this is just one example of several throughout Anita's public history of speaking in which she says one thing which completely contradicts another. And this particular clip prompted a group of Gamergaters to begin criticizing Sarkeesian, researching her history or Twitter account, which she subsequently blocked, and ultimately pulling back the curtain on a career built on deception, greed, opportunism, and ultimately lies. And Sargon put the final nail in the coffin when he made a painstakingly well-researched video revealing her for being an opportunistic charlatan. I'll leave a link in the description, and I encourage all of you to watch it because it really paints a phenomenal picture on her history of victimhood and quest for the almighty dollar. She is a verifiable crook who uses victim culture to make money and build power. Fast forward to a few days ago when Sarkeesian was sitting on an all-women's panel at Vidcon discussing how to get more women involved in media and alternative media, or gaming or something like that. I'll put a link in the description to all the videos that captured all of the controversy, but to paint a good picture, Sarkeesian looked out into the audience and realized that pretty much the entire Kekistani Imperial Senate was sitting in the first 3 rows. I mean, Sargon, Dr. Randomercan, Dave Cullen, Bad Hair, Mundanematt, I think some black guy was even there, Barbara for You to See, Joey Salad, the Warski brothers, the Honey Badgers, Bunny, Bass Mama, Chris Raygun, Failure Accomplished in his Reptile. I mean, about all that was missing was Blonde, Matt Christensen, Thunderfoot, Armored Skeptic, and Bearing, because I'm pretty sure Shoe on Head was at VidCon, she just wasn't at that particular seminar. If those people had all been there, it would have been the entire Kekistani Supreme High Council. They could have dropped a bomb and there would have been no designated survivor, because there's some who were there that I'm forgetting. Anyhow, according to the footage and follow-on interviews, Anita immediately contacted the head of security claiming she felt unsafe. However, you'll hear from the testimonies of the people that the Kekistanis were being completely respectful. As the discussion began and went on, Anita found a segue for her victim game and said this.
If you Google my name on YouTube, you get shitheads like this dude who are making these dumbass videos that just say the same shit over and over again. And like, I need to give you attention because you're a garbage human. Whatever, dude.
Shitheads like this dude. You're a garbage human. Whatever, dude. This was an unprompted attack on Sargon. He did nothing wrong except have the audacity to criticize you for being a money-hungry fake. What's interesting, too, is if you watch clips from the front row and you listen closely and try to block out Anita's mic, you can hear Sargon actually say, because you never want to talk. Exactly. And he's right. He's absolutely right. You see, any criticism, no matter how sincere and honest, is what you believe to be a concerted attack on your character and on you as a person. And if you engage these people who are so critical of you, that means you will have to look in the mirror and see that you are a charlatan who's lied her way to fame and fortune using victim rhetoric and shame. If anyone criticizes your ideas, you use the extreme left's most powerful weapon, which is you label them bigots. And for that, Anita Sarkeesian, you should be ashamed. Sargon made a response video where he calls on a petition to send respectful emails to the Green brothers who organized VidCon and request they remove Sarkeesian from the anti-cyberbullying panel. Now, as of the creation of this video, I believe that panel has come and gone, but I would still encourage people to do this, as she is not only in direct violation of VidCon's code of conduct regarding harassment, but she's clearly shown herself to be a complete hypocrite who cannot be trusted. I wrote what I think is an extremely restrained, professional, and respectful letter to the Green brothers, and I posted it on Twitter. It reads, I'm respectfully requesting the removal of Anita Sarkeesian from the harassment panel at VidCon 2017. While Ms. Sarkeesian has allegedly been the victim of online harassment in the past, this does not give her the right as a member of one of the discussion panels to verbally attack, harass, and abuse members of the audience via name-calling and derision. To my knowledge, the individual she was harassing was being perfectly respectful and listening to her oration until she began berating him. As she is an individual who represents VidCon, I think it was incredibly unprofessional of Ms. Sarkeesian to engage in the type of behavior she purports to be advocating against, and frankly, it meets the definition of a hypocrite. That you would allow an individual to harass customers and pass holders who paid good money for those passes, I might add, speaks volumes about the message you are sending to future content creators who will feel unsafe in the event of their travel, as well as the quality of panelists you invite to your convention. I'm fully confident you will do the right thing and remove Ms. Sarkeesian from the panel. While she may have felt this action was defensive, it was perceived by the greater public as quite the opposite, and further use of her as a panel will, in my humble opinion, adversely affect the integrity of your convention. Harassment of this nature should be sanctioned, as it compromises the integrity of public discourse and discourages the public from challenging ideas in a country whose principles are founded in the crucible of free speech. Now, I have some friends on Twitter, specifically my man 5-1, who disagree with me sending this email, as they view it in direct violation of Anita's freedom of speech, and they want her to be able to have an open dialogue, and they are right, and I agree. She's completely welcome to have an open dialogue on her own terms, but as she's violated VidCon's code of conduct, I'm simply arguing that she should not be allowed to have an open dialogue at VidCon, because she broke the rules. Unless she makes an open apology to not only Sargon, but the rest of the patrons of Vidcon, she should be banned indefinitely. Sargon and the rest of them paid good money to attend, and harassing him because he made videos that are critical of her rhetoric because she thinks it's hateful. Harassing abuse does not give her the right to do to him what she's alleged he's done to her. If you get on Twitter and type in the hashtag human garbage, you'll see an outpour of support for Sargon as the meme jihadis and ethnic Kekastanis have flocked to his defense. These people know Sargon's record. They know he's stridently against cyberbullying and harassment because, as he noted in his own response video, it is not only morally wrong, but it is pragmatically counterproductive because it gives people like Anita Sarkeesian more ammunition for victimhood. This is my message to Anita Sarkeesian. Anita, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you think that you can label yourself a champion of anti-bullying, then use your position of power and privilege, which is what it fucking is, to deride and abuse the people who disagree with you, then you have to realize that you are a hypocrite. You have to realize that what you've done is in direct contrast to your position, influence, and message. Because like free speech, if you shouldn't be bullied, then neither should the people you allege to be the bullies. This is not a tit-for-tat society. It's not an eye for an eye. You have to be the better person. Do the right thing, Anita. Issue a public apology. Like I said in my message to Steve Shives, if you extend the olive branch, I think you'll be surprised at what it is you receive in return. Because while all of Sargon's friends and subscribers know how critical he's been of Lacey Green in the past, I think we can see that a mutual respect for dialogue can mend fences more than we originally thought.